Yourka Reserve is a magnificent conservation sanctuary on the edge of the Wet Tropics World Heritage Area. This 43,000 hectare reserve was bought by Bush Heritage Australia because of its incredible variety of life. In fact, it's a biodiversity hotspot. Within this single property, there are 39 different ecosystems, and a number of them are not protected anywhere else in the world. Yourka Reserve will be key to the survival of up to 23 different types of threatened animals and plants. It's a very impressive nest, David.
Yeah, it's a decent size. You can see the sticks in it are at least 1.5 metres long, and they're very characteristic shape and size for a red goshawk.
So why is the creation of Yourka so important for the red goshawk?
Well, I was really excited when I found this nest here because there's only 700 pairs of this bird left in the world. They're very good indicators of highly productive land and diversity. I mean, they're right at the top of the food pyramid, and they're feeding on birds, hollow-dwelling species in particular, cockatoos, kookaburras, lorikeets and those sort of things. And those birds need big old trees. And those trees are not going to develop a hollow until they're around 150 minimum, up to 200 years old. If it's good enough for red goshawks, it's going to be good enough for a whole range of other threatened species. I mean, red goshawks are a really good indicator. So you're likely to have a range of threatened mammals here, northern quolls possibly, spot-tailed quolls, almost certainly some of the threatened bats which are using the hollows, similar hollows to the prey that the red goshawk is using. So, you know, that's the sort of track that we'd be looking down.
Bush Heritage was able to buy Yourka because of the generous gifts of more than 2,000 supporters, as well as donations from the Australian Government, the David Thomas Challenge and the Nature Conservancy. Timing is everything when it comes to securing a large reserve, and contributions from people like Ian Landon Smith and his wife Nan make all the difference.
I supported Bush Heritage Australia for a long time in a small way, but as the years went on I became more and more confident that Bush Heritage Australia were doing the sort of conservation work that I was very supportive of, and I thought it would be nice to make a major contribution to help Bush Heritage acquire a significant property.
What was it like that first morning at Yourka Reserve?
Well, I was visiting Yourka. This was right exactly the same week that Yourka was purchased by Bush Heritage Australia. We visited the property with several of the staff members of Bush Heritage Australia and Doug Human, and we arrived in there pretty late at night. It was already dark, and we had a late meal in the Ringers camp. And next morning we woke up before dawn to a very loud dawn chorus. I don't think I've ever heard such a deafening dawn chorus of birds. So I emerged from a sleeping bag and tent and walked down to what I found out later was called Sunday Creek. And I was really quite blown away. It was just absolutely magnificent country. Huge river red gums with an understory of flowering callistemons, sandpaper figs, just the most glorious riverbed with very little weed infestation. And I became quite emotional actually in the realization that I'd been able to assist financially with the purchase of this superb property.
As temperatures rise with global warming, Yourka's wildlife will have room to move upwards to cooler places like this one. So what sort of animals would be living around here?
Well, we know that in the hills over behind us here, there's a really good population of Mareeba rock wallabies, and of course that was really exciting to find. At the same time, we found all these bettong diggings. Now, bettongs are a little marsupial, and if they're northern bettong diggings, and certainly this habitat would be right for them, then that would be only the 5th population in the world of this nationally endangered animal. And just behind us, on the higher hills over there where the rose gums are in that wet forest, that's where there's a population of fluffy gliders. Now, they're another nationally threatened species. So it's a pretty exciting area. If there's foxes in the area, you certainly want to be doing fox controls to for the bettong's sake, but also for the rock wallabies. They plant their young in the crevices in those big boulders there when they go bounding around and foraging, and at that time the young are very susceptible to predators such as foxes. So that would be one thing you want to be doing. Pig control would be another important thing, and we saw all those pig diggings or rooting down the hill there. They're digging up the same truffles as the bettongs are feeding on, so they're obviously going to be a competitor for bettongs in this area. Over the back, where the fluffy gliders are, fire management is a big issue.
Bush heritage doesn't just protect land, water and wildlife. Cultural heritage is important too. We work with neighbours and Indigenous communities wherever we can. Ashley Land managed Yourka for 14 years and he lives next door.
It's a great thing for Yourka, I feel, just to let it go back to its natural ways again. It has been overstocked, not in the 14 years that we've been here, it hasn't been, but prior to that it had been overstocked, and there's a lot of regrowth, there's a lot of weeds, a lot of lantana coming back, and it'd be good to let a body of grass go and let there be fires and try and manage that sort of side of it.
The water systems that we have here act as drought refuges. That's well established. And they also act as a corridor. Birds, animals and even plant seeds travel up and down these rivers, and it's in these areas that animals concentrate in times of drought, and there's every reason to suggest that if we have major global warming, that these same corridors will be vital for the movement of plants and animals.
By removing the cattle, managing weeds and feral animals and using fire strategically, bush heritage will reduce the threats to wildlife and its habitat. Building resilience and the ability to adapt to future changes will be key to the long-term health of Yourka Reserve.
I think Bush Heritage Australia is a tremendous organisation. The conservation work that the organisation is doing appeals to me greatly. As a contributor, I find you get a very tangible result. You can see reserves being acquired for the dollars you contribute. Those reserves are well managed. As a contributor, you can be part of the team and go and visit them, enjoy them, and witness the conservation work being done firsthand.
You too can help protect magnificent places like this by supporting Bush Heritage Australia.